Hey there everybody, welcome back to another one of my budgeting videos. This is going to be my weekly update on my digital cash envelopes. For anybody that is new, I budget using the same method you do for cash budgeting, where you give yourself X amount of dollars for different categories and then you put it in an envelope and you spend that money throughout your pay period, or I suppose your week, however you budget, weekly or bi-weekly. The only difference is that the money is actually held digitally. Most of the places that I shop prefer you to spend digitally. They don't really like dealing with cash, and I don't really like carrying cash. So I take the money when I am budgeting and I move it over to a prepaid MasterCard, and then I use that card for all of my purchases for these 5 categories: groceries, miscellaneous, fun, physio, and transportation. And then I track everything in this notebook. The reason I track it in this particular notebook and not on, like a physical envelope, is because all the money is in a lump sum on the prepaid credit card. And so there's no way for me to look at the balance of the prepaid credit card and know where each category stands. So I have to keep track of it myself, just to make sure that I'm not overspending in one category and putting the other ones in jeopardy. I do allow myself to move money from one category to another. So say groceries gets into a negative balance, I can move money over from miscellaneous to help out the grocery column. So I will make moves like that. The only one that I really don't do that with is physio, because I fund it with the exact amount of money that it needs every pay period, and I can't take from that because then I won't be able to pay for my next appointment. So last time we left off up here on April 4th, where I had entered in some purchases and then put in deposits because it was my payday last weekend. So groceries, at the end of all of that math, ended up with a balance of $120. Miscellaneous had $28.17. Fun had $80.03. Physio $31.50, and transportation had $20. Now it is April 12th. Now it's Sunday. I don't have a calendar in front of me. It's the 13th. Okay, so today is April the 13th. So from the 4th, I suppose the 4th through to now, here's where we're at. So I have a charge from Kokomo for $17.85 that I honestly do not remember making. I mean, I'll believe it because I do purchase food from there. It's a little vegan, it's not really a restaurant. I don't think it's big enough to call it a restaurant, but it's not really a cafe. I don't know what to call it, but you get food there. Yeah, my memory is bad, but even I'm surprised that I completely do not remember this meal. I think I got it as takeaway. It's really just not coming back to me. But anyways, April 4th, $17.85. Oh, okay, so now it's come back to me. Yeah, this is how my brain works now. Sorry, guys. April 4th was the Friday. The friend that I usually hang out with on the Saturday, we weren't going to be able to get together, so we went for a walk when I was done work. She's on maternity leave. When I finished, and then we were in the area where Kokomo was, so I did pick it up as takeaway. Okay, there we go. Mystery solved. So I spent $17.85 at Kokomo. I put it under the fun category. It really could have gone under fun or miscellaneous, really. Like, heck, I could have even somehow justified it under groceries, I suppose, because it's food. Yeah, but so I put it under fun. Then April 5th, I went to Superstore and I spent $39.48. April 9th, I went to like a little corner store and I went to Canada Post within a corner store because I needed to get some stamps to send an international card. So I spent $3.83. And then I stopped at Safeway and I picked up some items from the deli to have as my dinner. So I put it under miscellaneous and not groceries because it was a salad and some lemon chicken. And I had the lemon chicken for dinner that night and the salad the next day. Salad totally wasn't worth it. And I don't know, to me it felt more like a miscellaneous versus a groceries, even though if I had purchased those items when I had been grocery shopping, they would have fallen under the grocery column. But I was kind of getting them instead of treating myself to like picking up dinner. Like, I really wanted sushi, so I did this instead of picking up sushi for dinner that night. So in my head, it didn't count as groceries. It counted as kind of like a takeaway. Just run with it. My logic isn't always sound. And then that day I had a physio appointment and I spent $15.75. Then April 11th, I was at Superstore for like regular grocery shopping, so $22.28. And then I also went to Safeway that day and spent $51.66. Then April 12th, I went out with a friend yesterday and we went to a place, it's Whisk something or other. It's a vegan bakery slash coffee shop. I am not vegan, by the way, but she is, which is why I have a lot of vegan places in my expenses. So it was kind of pricey. We went because it was Cherry Blossom Festival. Oh goodness, cannot talk. So it was a little bit pricey because I got like this specialty thing that they had done for the festival. It's like a multi-layered parfait that was, I mean, it was amazing. It was like $13 and change though, so I don't think it was that amazing, but you know, it was a fun one-off. It was fine. And then I also got a chai latte to go with it, so that was a $21.74. And then I went back up afterwards before we left, and I bought a couple things to take away with me from the bakery side, so that was $9.98. So I lumped it all under fun. And then transportation, I got gas. Now I only had $20 in my gas category, and I knew that, but I spent $38.61. My gas is the only thing that I can't tap this prepaid MasterCard to pay for in the moment. It never works at the pump. I don't know why. I think I sort of know why, but I'm not 100% sure, and it doesn't really matter why. The fact is I can't. So I actually put my gas expenses on my Visa card, and then I just move the money from here over to the Visa card to pay it off. This is not normally a category to go into the negative balance, and it's done so quite a bit over the last little bit. But this was actually done on purpose, believe it or not. I knew I only had $20. I had half a tank of gas, but gas prices are at like a freakishly low amount right now. It's like $1.55 or $1.57, something like that, depending on where you go, because there's always a bit of fluctuation. Usually they're anywhere like up in like the 188 to 192 range, so $1.55 is amazing. And I got told by my mom that I should really get gas now while they're low, because it's something to do with a change in the carbon tax, and it's going to change again, and it will go back up. So even though I knew I didn't have $20 in this particular category right now, I know that next payday I'll be putting another $20 into it. So I kind of borrowed from myself, I guess you could say. So the $20 that's sitting on the card in this category, I haven't moved it off yet to go pay the credit card. I try to do that fairly quickly from the time I make the purchase on the credit card and start moving the money off of here, but I'm leaving it here so I don't put the entire card into a negative balance, or put it into a negative balance, because if this category goes negative by $18.61, it's going to affect the rest of it. And then on payday, when I'm doing my budget, the $20 that would go into here will go onto the Visa card, and then I'll move over the money from here at that point to also go towards the credit card, and that won't put this card's overall balance in jeopardy. So that is something that I do need to keep in mind, that if I put one of the categories, it doesn't matter which one, but if I put it into an extreme negative balance, but the other categories are in a positive, the card balance itself doesn't look like anything is wrong, because the card balance itself is in a positive, whereas one of my categories, so this time transportation, is actually quite a bit negative. So if I were to move the $20 off of here right now, then like it's still not paid off the entire Visa card, and it's just sort of, I can't move off the entire amount that I owe to the Visa, the $38.61, without putting the rest of the columns in jeopardy. So I just sort of leave it to sit to keep the card overall okay, but I keep a notation. I actually have it right there, $38.61 charged to Visa. On payday, move $20 from here to the Visa, and then I'll pay the remainder from the amount of next week's contribution, and it'll all balance out. So it's something that if you're budgeting this way, well, not budgeting this way, but tracking this way, you just need to really keep in mind, if something goes negative, that it's not going to impact the other categories or your ability to purchase something from the other categories. So I can't put all of these categories into such a negative balance that I don't have enough money left on that card to pay my physio appointment, is what I'm trying to get at. I think I took a very roundabout way to get there. So this particular column is in a negative balance, but I have not moved the money off of the card yet, and the purchase was actually made on the Visa card, so the card itself is not in danger of going into a negative balance, and it will all be sorted on payday when I take care of moving everything around. My physio balance is at $15.75, which is perfect. Fun is at $30.46. It is amazing how quickly that came down. I was talking other times about like it's so high, and it's not normally that high, but it's purposely, like I was purposely keeping it at a high balance because I have three different social activities coming up that are all prepaid for, but I'm not sure if the friends that I'm going with are going to want to you know, go and like grab a bite to eat beforehand or a coffee afterwards or something like that. So in case there's any like kind of surprise expenses on those outings, I wanted to have extra money in the fun category. And then I very quickly have like taken a whole bunch of money out of that category. So $30.46. One of the activities is tomorrow, and then the other ones are over the long weekend. So we'll just see how I do. Miscellaneous has $12.08 and groceries has $6.58. This one makes me the happiest. When I went grocery shopping, I couldn't remember how much I had already spent out of the grocery column, this $39.48 on the 5th of April. So I couldn't remember how much I had left in the column, and I was worried that I had gone over, and it turns out I had not. If I had gone over, I'll very often borrow from miscellaneous to help out the grocery column, but I didn't have to this time. And so I'm a little bit proud of that, even though it was kind of by accident, or at least not purposeful spending that made it that I didn't go over, but I'll take the win however I can get it. So these are my current balances: 658, 1208, 3046, 1575, and 1861, negative 1861. So they're not great because they are not all in a positive balance. I fully acknowledge that, but this one was done on purpose. So it wasn't an accident. It wasn't that I overspent on something that I shouldn't have. It was a calculated thing based on a tip from my mother and the fact that gas is going to go up in price again. So I wanted to take advantage of filling up my gas tank while it was at a cheaper amount. So there we go. That is the update for my digital cash envelopes for this week. I think that they're actually doing pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with the fact that none of these ones have gone into a negative, especially these two. I really expected one of them to, which is great because then I can pull from miscellaneous to help out fun if there are more expenses in that category than I was expecting. I don't think there will be too much. Like, I'm planning on eating dinner at home before I go out with my friend tomorrow, and the other activities are sort of similar. Like, I'm not planning on other expenses outside of maybe like grabbing a drink at the comedy show I'm going to, but you just don't know. And I don't want to have to say no to absolutely everything that gets tossed my way for fun when I'm already going out with a friend and kind of be the buzzkill for the night, you know? So this is it. Thank you so very much for following me with my budgeting journey. I really do appreciate it. I would love to hear if you're doing cash budgeting, for like if it's actual cash or if it's digital, how you're tracking it. I'd love to hear how it's going. I do hope that it's going really well and that everything is working out for you and is balancing. And do you find where you live right now, have the gas prices dropped quite a bit, and have you been given the same warning about like filling up now because they're about to go back up again? So take advantage while you can, because I don't know if I would have known to do that if my mom hadn't mentioned it to me, because there's so many things happening in the news that I can't keep up with absolutely everything, and that is something that completely skipped my notice. So I'm glad that she let me know about that one. So thank you again so much for following with me with this journey. I will talk to you all in the next video. Stay safe out there, everybody. Bye.